Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at the three types of percent problems and some of the applications that we use for working on them. So we'll start off right away with question one, asking you to figure out what type of problem it is and how to get the answer. Question 1A says, what percent of 32 is 22? So there's an understood word here. What percent out of 32 is 22? So you have to say to yourself, what am I missing? Am I missing the original, the part, or the percentage? It's the percentage. And what is that type then? Is it a type 1 where you would be looking for the part, type 2 where you would be looking for the percent, or type 3 where you're looking for the whole? And in this case, it's type 2. That means we have to write this as a fraction and change it into a percentage. In this particular case, remember it's 22 out of 32, and we're going to turn this one into a decimal. So we have to do a calculation. You do top divided by bottom, which in this case would be 22 divided by 32. And we're going to do the calculation on this as 32 into 22, right? You're going to do bottom into top. Top divided by bottom means the bottom into the top, and we're going to do this calculation. I'm going to pause and we'll see the answer. So now looking at the long division, you see that we did 32 into 22. We had to put a bunch of extra zeros. Even though it said to round the answer to 2 decimal places, you have to remember that after I get this decimal amount, which is equal to 0.6875, that we need to multiply that times 100 to get the percentage, which would be sliding the decimal over 2 places, 68.75%. And there's your answer. What percent? Yeah, percent is 68.75%. Now, you could have done this question a little bit differently if you had seen that this reduces to 11 over 16. And just that reminder, every time you see a fraction, you should try to reduce. It would still give you the same answer. Question B is asking you 36% of what is 54? So there is some number that when you take 36% of it, it's going to give you 54. So the what, is that referring to the percent, the part, or the whole? And in this case, yes, it's talking about the whole or the original. And so it's going to be a type 3. It means you're going to say 36.36 is going to be divided into 54, or basically you divide by the percent. 54 divided by 0.36, which is going to be 0.36 into 54. Remember, the first part is to slide the decimal over 2 places so that our divisor is a whole number, and we put our definite decimal up on top. So I'm going to pause again, do the calculation, and we'll look at the answer. Actually, I got this going, but I wanted to just pause for the last little bit to show you that you have to be careful about this extra 0, that when you slide the decimal, don't lose any places. So it's not going to be 15, it'll be 150. So 54 divided by 36 is equal to 150. What does this mean in terms of the question? It means 36% of 150 is equal to 54. So the answer is 150. Remember, when we're doing these questions, you better put the units if there are any. In this case, there aren't. And if it's given in as a sentence, you should answer as a sentence or a story problem. Moving on to question C, it tells you to calculate 24% of 75 is what? Just like before, you're asking yourself, is this a type 1, a type 2, or a type 3? The way we can figure that out is, first of all, what are we looking for? We're looking for the part, the percent, the whole, and the part. So we're looking for the part. Whenever you're looking for the part, What type is that? It's a type 1. And the way we do a type 1 is a straight calculation of what you see in the question. We're going to be doing 24% times 75, which means we change that 24 to a decimal, 0.24 times 75. Calculation on the side, and I'll pause again so that we don't have to take a lot of extra time in the video. As you can see, I still haven't finished the calculation here. One of the things I noticed is that some students forget to put the extra 0 in that second row. Make sure it's lined up. And the question has 2 decimals in it, so the answer is going to have 2 decimals. So this is going to turn into 0 to 18. And what does this mean? It means that 24% of 75 is 18. Type 1 question, and we're looking for the part. Question 2. This is applications now, and we're talking about the real life skills of discount and taxes, percents, how they're used and stuff. So the question asks, it says about a Bose soundbar regularly priced at $340 is on sale for 45% off. What is the sale price? Now you have to understand something here. The discount is what you subtract from the original price, okay, the $340, and then the answer you get after you subtract that discount is called the sale price. So it's going to be 2 steps in this question. First, I'm going to have to calculate 45% of 340. What type is that? That's right. It's going to be a type 1. And so we just have to turn this, just like in question 1C, multiply 0.45 times 340 to get our part. So let's pause while I do the calculation. So you can see now that I've put the decimals, done my multiplication, lined up with the proper zeros, is 153. What does this represent? That is the discount. And that's going to be in dollars. Now be careful, this isn't the final answer yet. It says, what is the sale price? So now that I have the discount, I'm going to have to subtract 340 minus 153 to get the discount for this sound bar. So pause, do the calculation. So after I do the subtraction, 187. And that is going to be the final price or the sale price for the Bose soundbar. Now you might see that I left a big space over on the side here because I want to show you a second way you could work this out if you were looking for the sale price directly. You have to recognize that 45% of is the same thing as 55%. Sorry, let me get this right. 45% off is the same thing as 55% of. And the way I would calculate 55%, that would take me directly to the sale price. When you would work this out, 340 multiplied by 0.55. Okay, all the details there. Your final answer would have to be 187 for the sale price calculated directly. Now this idea comes from the fact that 100% minus 45%, because that's what we subtract for discount, is giving me 55%. We need this when we're working questions backwards. We're going to see it later on in a couple of questions. One more question. Let's move to question 3. This time, it's a winter theme as you're going on with this question. It says that the regular price of a Blizzard Buster snowblower is $720. Benjamin buys it on sale for $120 off. What is the percent discount? So vocabulary, let's be sure, 120 is the discount in dollars. But now I want to find out what the percent is, what the discount is as a percent. So what are we going to do? We're going to say, well, how much is 120 compared to 720? It's a fraction. So what type of question is this? It's a type 2. And so we're going to calculate this by dividing. But as I said in question 2, you have to be sure to, or question 1, you have to be sure to reduce the fraction before you start. So right away, I can change that into 12 over 72 by dividing the top and bottom by 10. And then I can reduce by dividing by 12, and that's going to give me 1 over 6. And you're going to see that this one does not work out evenly, and I'll do the calculation right now. We see what it looks like. You can see by the calculations on the side here that when I start doing the subtractions, I'm going to get a repeating value that's going to keep showing up when I do 40 minus 36, and I bring down the next line, next number, and you multiply by 6. So it should be pretty clear at this point that we're going to have a repeating decimal right to infinity. 6 is forever. I need to take this amount, though, and turn it into a percentage. So don't go rounding it yet. I have to multiply by 100, which means I would slide the decimal 2 places to the right, and that's going to be 16.666 forever. And when I round this off at 2 decimal places, that's going to wind up as 16.67. Now let's be careful about this. We want to know, is this the part? Is it the whole, or is it the percent? It says what percent discount, so it's going to be 16.67%, okay, is the percent discount. Now we're going to move on to the next question. Number 4, Dante gives a $9 tip for a taxi ride. If this is 12% of the price of the ride, what is the price of the ride? So we know there's some original value that I'm taking 12% of. 12% of something, the price of the ride, is equal to $9. What type of question is this? Yes, that's right. It's going to be a type 3 because we're looking for the original. How do we do type 3? You're going to divide by the percent. 9 divided by the decimal version of the percent is 0.12. We're going to do the calculation on the side, 0.12 into 9, and we got to add the zeros. May have to add a few more, and we're going to do the division. As you can see from the division, it is 75, and we are looking for the original. And so that means this case is the price of the ride. So what was the price of the ride? The ride cost, or the price of the ride was $75. Just a little piece of information here. Some people think the past tense of cost is costed. No, it is just cost. And now we'll go down to the last question, number 5. This one is telling you that the Canadian Tire sells an exercise bike with a markup of 40%. If the ticket price of it is $350, what is the cost of the bike before the markup? So we need to understand that 40% is added to the 100%, which is the cost of the bike, which I don't know, and that's going to be equal to $350. That is, we're going to be taking the two percentages together, so 140% of the original is equal to 350. So as again, a type 3, and we're going to have to do this as a division. A lot of people didn't get this on the test. That was why it was put as a bonus. You're going to be doing 350 divided by 140% written as a decimal is 1.40, and I'll just write it as 1.4 when I'm doing the division into 350. And so after I do this division, watch out that 50, okay, you needed that extra 0 in there. So that's going to be equal to 250. And so my final, what was the cost of the bike before the markup? The cost was $250. Hopefully that works for you, and we need to practice a couple more of these questions to get it. Have a good day.